Welcome to Childcare Conversations, the podcast where early childhood leaders like you get real-world strategies, honest talk, and a whole lot of support. Whether you're running one center or many, we're here to help you lead with confidence and clarity. This episode is brought to you by Center IQ. If you've ever added a child to a classroom, adjusted staffing, or made a quick schedule change, and then spent the next 2 weeks fixing the ripple effects, you're not alone. Most leaders make decisions and then see what happens. Center IQ's decision intelligence lets you see what happens before you decide. Start your free trial today at centeriq.io. Now, let's get into today's conversation, one we think you're really going to love.
Hard decisions, any decision, all of this is just something that directors and owners deal with every single day. One decision is, how do you get in front of other people, parents, potential parents? So today's guest is Pietro with BRIT Marketing, BRIT Childcare Marketing. And Pietro is going to kind of have a discussion. I don't know, maybe a conversation. What do you think, Carrie?
I think
he is going to have a conversation with Kate and Carrie about kind of what's changed, why it's changed, and maybe a different perspective for some of you listening on your budget and where we should go with that. So, Pietro, you don't need to give everybody the whole how you ended up in the U.S. because, you're in Wichita now. So that's a whole story in itself.
Don't come here.
But tell folks listening a little bit about you, and specifically maybe why you chose to specialize in childcare.
Absolutely, yes. Well, so thank you guys. Thank you, Kate and Carrie. I am so grateful to be here with you guys. So as Kate was saying, I'm originally from Italy, ended up in the US, and for the last 7 years or so, I've been specializing in marketing, and for the last 3 years specifically in preschool marketing and working with primarily preschools. The main reason why is this, which is working with different industries. I saw two trends in childcare that really attracted me towards this industry. The first one is childcare is one of the only businesses when talking to owners, you realize that the mission for the owners is not just making money. And yes, that is a thing. We are all in business to make also money. But in some industry, the only driver is cash. And I didn't like that. Where in preschool, we're all working towards the greater good, as well as making a profit out of it, right? And then the other thing is working with the different industries, and I'll give you a few. We worked with dentists, lawyers, we worked with solar installers. One day, we had this amazing friend who we still work with that owned a preschool, and she needed help. She asked for help. And the return on investment, which is, again, what we mostly care about in marketing, was maybe 10 times higher than we had ever given in any other industry. And then we got the second preschool, third preschool, fourth preschool. And it was always higher ROI than I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, man, this is it. Let's just do that. And that's kind of how we ended up working with preschools.
Okay, so before we get too much farther, I'm gonna put Carrie on the spot. So Carrie, this is to see how much you're paying attention. I know you're only like third class into your MBA. However, tell everybody what an ROI is.
Return on investment. But I knew that before going back for my MBA. The class I just finished or am finishing right now is actually the first of the marketing classes in my MBA. But the return on investment and what people want, when they're looking at in the MBA, they're like, you want at least a 100% ROI. So if you spend $1, you want to earn at least $2 back. So if you spend $1 in advertising, you want $2 in income. Well, in childcare, it is not unusual to spend $300 in marketing, in advertising on online platforms, and get back a lifetime value or even a 1-year value of like 20 times that. So you get one family, and that one family is bringing you $10 because there's a couple of kids, and you spent $300 to get that $20,000. That's massive return on investment. And I think we sometimes get lost in that because we're like, oh, I can't afford to spend money on advertising. I'm not going to do Meta ads. I'm not going to do Google ads. I'm not going to freshen the paint on the outside of my school. It's too expensive. And I go, but if it gets you one more family, you have so much more than paid for it. And yeah, drives me crazy. Sorry.
Absolutely. That's music.
So part of the reason, if I heard you correctly, that you came in to kind of specialize in childcare outside of helping a friend was that you noticed that the business owners got a better return on investment. What is the one thing that you think that childcare centers ignore or avoid that maybe they shouldn't? In other words, they're like, either they think it's too complicated or it's not necessary, and you're going, but it is the best for our clients. It has been the best ROI. And we all know that algorithms change and nobody can keep track of
Yeah.
it. So anybody trying to do it on their own is just silly. Hire that done, hire the experts. So if I'm hiring the expert versus I can do it myself.
Mhm. Yeah, I think, look, so there's a lot of things that I could talk about specifically. I think
Well,
just
you
to,
only got 15 more minutes, so
you're right,
don't
you're
pick
right.
all of them.
But here's the thing, I want to talk specifically about what Carrie said. I think that's kind of the number one thing before we talk about, what is the number one thing childcares don't do. It's the concept behind it. I love that you said lifetime value, right? Which is if a family is paying you $1,000 a month, and on average you get a family to stay 24 months with you, 2 years. Well, you just made $24,000 in gross profit, in gross revenue from that family. And then if you have a childcare business that's making you like 10 to 20% profit margins, which is average if you're profitable, well, you just made a lot of money from that family. And again, not to make money off of them, you want to give them an amazing service, but then that's kind of your way of knowing that marketing is doable, even though the cash is tight, that's going to produce you more. Now, the number one thing that if I had to think about something that owners don't do, and it's like no brainer, everybody should do it, is stop spending so much money on Google ads if you are, and spend it on Meta. And there are a few reasons for it, especially if you have a tight budget. So first of all, Google ads are amazing. Don't get me wrong. Google ads are awesome. But the problem with Google ads are two. First one is they're very pricey because especially with more and more AI search engines, we do see a trend of Google becoming more pricey because Google works on search volume. So the more people look for things on Google, the cheapest the results are for you as the business owner investing into the Google search engine. Now, the more people start to look for information elsewhere, like AI platforms, a lot of people are looking for childcare on Claude, on ChatGPT. It's insane, but it's true. And so that takes away search volume from Google. And for Google to keep up with their revenue targets, they increase the cost of advertising on their platforms. So one platform where that never happens and you can still use the benefits of Google, and I'll talk about it in just a minute, it's Meta. Why? First of all, Meta doesn't work on search volume. Is based on how many people use Facebook and Instagram. So if you use Facebook and Instagram, which is basically everybody in the United States, if you think about it, well, you're not going to struggle to advertise because everybody uses it. And there is no trend that we are seeing right now of people stopping to use social media. It's actually just more people using social media because now Gen Zs are the ones that have their parents enrolling in preschool, right? And so we need to target them. And the way you can actually, and this is the no-brainer part that I was talking about, the way you can use Meta to still get the benefits from Google is this. Meta has a very simple tool. Many people think it's complicated because the word is complicated, but it's called a pixel. A pixel is a piece of data. It's just a little code that you get from Meta when you advertise with them for free. You don't have to pay for it. And you can install that code on the backend of your website. So you can just paste that code on your website, and then automatically your Meta account, so your Facebook and Instagram advertising account, will start tracking the information of every single person that goes on your website. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say that you are in Houston, Texas, and you have 1,000 people going on your website every month. Well, Now, Facebook and Instagram are going to learn who goes on your website. That's going to be your perfect audience in a way, because if people are going there for free without actually they're just like looking for you, that's your target audience. You can target those people and people that are similar to them. It's called a lookalike audience on Meta. So the same traffic you would have gotten on paid advertising from Google, you can get it a lot cheaper and more traffic on Meta. So that's kind of the no-brainer I would do is, if you have a budget lower than $2,000 a month for marketing, shift your focus to Meta compared to Google.
Okay, so how do they find that pixel? I'm sitting here going, I remember having seen that at some point in time.
Yeah.
I don't remember where I saw it.
This is how you do it. This is how you do it. Ready? It's going to be funny. You go on YouTube and you look how to find the meta pixel.
Can Chat GPT help me?
Yeah, Chat GPT
Here,
can
I'll
help.
make it really messed up. I'll ask Gemini.
No, so it's very hard to explain where to find it because there is a lot of buttons you have to click. But it is very self-explanatory. Like probably a YouTube video that shows you how to do it takes 60 seconds. It's just like a lot of different clicks that you have to do to get there. But then when you get there, it's easy. There's just a button that says copy. You copy that button, you go on your website and you click on paste and you're done.
Whoa, that's pretty complicated. I don't know.
So do I paste it on the homepage and do I make it the same color as my background? You can tell I have questions.
No, okay. So this is the code is just, it's called a data set, if you want to call it like that. So it doesn't really affect your website. It doesn't affect the design of your website or nothing. It's just on every website there is something called the back end of the website, right? Mm-hmm. Which is what makes your website, and usually what makes your website is code, right? JavaScript and other types of code, which nowadays you don't need to know because websites build themselves. But but you can still access that backend, and Meta, whenever you get to the pixel, will give you simple instruction. Will say like, hey, click on copy. Go on your website. If you are on Squarespace, if you are on WordPress, if you are on Shopify, it will tell you exactly where to go on your website. And it will tell you, click on this button, click on paste here, click on save. And then just so you have no way of making a mistake, before the pixel starts working, Meta will not let you exit the page until it properly is sending data. So Meta will show you how to test that it's properly sending data. And until that happens, it will never be installed. So it's going to be a very easy process. You just have to get there now. But that's also why companies exist and do it for you.
Yeah, I know. I'm like thinking, we've got clients and people I know who are listening that are like, okay, so can I get Pietro's contact information? Carrie, can they? Where will they find it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you guys can just go to BRIT.childcare.com. So that's BRIT childcare.com. And just funny story, the reason why it's BRIT is because the founders of these companies are from Brazil and Italy. So it's BrazilItalyChildcare.com.
I love that. But we also will have it all in the show notes. So if you want to connect with Pietro, it'll be in the show notes. And apparently Carrie didn't get that was a toss-off to Carrie to tell us about show notes.
No.
There you go.
I mean, yeah, there's stuff in the show notes.
Carrie's probably over there trying to find our pixel.
Yeah, yeah. She was looking for it. I see her.
Well, I know we have one. We've had pixels for decades on our websites, but the question that a lot of people have, whether directors or owners, are, well, but how do I make the money? How do I find the money in my budget to do marketing, and how much is that? Because I've seen things where you have to spend $1,000 a day. So how am I supposed to find $1,000 a day to run this ad on Meta?
Yeah.
Is that the amount that they need to run? And what percentage of the budget do you think is reasonable for them to put towards marketing?
Absolutely. So truly depends on the state, actually. Dependent on the state, we usually see different trends, but on average, 5 to 8% of gross revenue is what we usually recommend to our clients. We actually have a very simple way to find out. So we work in over 30 states, and we kind of average out everything. We like to do numbers with everything, right? And so this is what we found. On average, a school that spends money marketing will spend about $500 to acquire one new family. Every 3 families in the United States enroll one enrolled 2 students. So every family enrolled 1.3 students on average. So every 3 families, one of them is going to enroll 2 kids. So that brings the average cost per acquisition for a student to about $350, $400. Now, if you're in a state like Texas, that is going to be more because Texas is one of the most competitive states. Plus, you guys have now all these public programs. So you have a lot of competition. Now, if you're in a state like the Carolinas, oh, you're going to do amazing. So it truly depends on the state you're in, but consider the number $350 to $400 on average for a student acquisition cost. So let's say that in a specific month, you want to have an additional, I don't know, 20 students. Well, that's going to cost you $7,000. But of course, nobody can handle 20 students every month. That's not doable. So, an average school usually spends anywhere between $1,500 to $3,500 a month in marketing whenever they're serious about it, right? Because a lot of schools then, they will want to spend $200, $300 a month in marketing. But this is what I tell them as a joke, but I actually mean it, which is you have usually a preschool would be anywhere between $500,000 to $3 million a year business, right? It depends, of course, on the side, but that's a good range usually. Not talking about home providers, of course, that's a different market. But if someone has, let's say, a $1 million business per year, right? And they're planning on spending $300 a month in marketing to be full, it's kind of like a joke almost. It feels like a joke almost because, we would all be Jeff Bezos if that was the case, right? If I could spend $300 a month and make $1 million a year, I would be a billionaire.
Wouldn't everybody? And there's that. We sometimes get into the mentality of I don't have enough, instead of the abundance mentality. And if you are having a tight budget, I will tell you the last place you should cut your budget is your marketing, because you can't do the rest of your business if you do not have families finding your business. You've got to find the right families to come to your program, and putting a yard sign in the front of your building, like a garage sale sign, that instead of saying garage sale says toddler openings, does not work. It didn't work when I started my school in the early 90s. Like, even back then, we had to run an ad if we needed to get an infusion of children. Word of mouth is great, but word of mouth only works if you're in a childcare desert, really, in today's day and age. If you're the only childcare center to serve 3,000 families, yes, you can use word of mouth marketing. If you're not in that situation, you're going to need to spend some money, and you can spend it by buying a big old billboard on the side of the highway, but that's a foolish way to spend your money.
I have a question for you, Pietro.
Absolutely.
Because whether it's social media, Google, right? Online ads constantly have what they call new algorithms.
Yeah.
And we also know that in childcare, there are enrollment cycles.
Yes.
So what are a couple of tips that you might share with directors and owners? And we have listeners all over the country. Well, we're in 123 countries. And if they are thinking today, they want to maybe switch some money from Google ads to Meta ads. Is this something they should, like, the same rate all the time? Should they only do it when they need it? Should they do something talk to me a little bit about what that looks like. I know I have a theory, but I don't know if it's currently accurate.
Yeah. So, of course, generally speaking, it's good to spend money every month. There's no good month to turn it off, right? To turn off your ads. Now, there is strategic moves you can make where you want to place most of your money towards back to school and January and February, right? Those are the peaks for enrollment for most schools, right? So for most schools, you're going to see most of your enrollments coming in between starting, late June, early July, and then, enrolling for August and September. And then after, you're going to start getting some traction in December for eventually the families that are going to be converting in January and February. So if I had to give you all a suggestion, I would spend most of the money in November and December, because November and December, you're going to get the tours that eventually are going to be converting into January and February. Because I like to call marketing and sales phases in childcare. So you have the marketing, which is in this case November and December, but then January and February are your sales phases, because then you have to convert all the traffic you just got. right? Because it's not just about the tour. You now have to sell the parent. So that's something else that's super important is you can't just have amazing marketing. You have to be an amazing salesperson. Now, the next thing I would put money towards is if you have a summer camp, put some money starting early March up until mid-May towards summer camp, because that can be a good cash cow, if you want to call it like that, to then spend more money in the summer for that enrollment for August and September. Months where I wouldn't spend as much would be January and February if you have done a good job in November and December, already getting the interest for the families that now are planning on enrolling in January and February. Still spend money, just not as much. And I also wouldn't spend much money in March, April, if you don't have a summer camp. If you have a summer camp, disregard. And also starting mid September and October are slow months usually, because most families just enrolled now.
Yeah.
And so those are the cycles. Now, I'm not talking about huge budget changes though. So keep in mind, we call them awareness type budgets, which is you always want to have an awareness type budget where people still see you in October, right? It's not like they forget about you. But then there are many stages to a funnel. Funnel is basically the conversion process from a family to know about you to then actually enrolling with you and being a good customer, right? And so the awareness campaigns, which is campaigns that just say like, hey, ABC Childcare is available in Houston, Texas. That is a campaign you should always have. But now in November, December is like, hey, ABC Childcare has a 1 week free offer if you enroll by the 31st of the month. And so do it now. That's the bottom of the funnel. Those are the moments where people statistically are looking for preschools now. And you want to go hard on those months, maybe spend 10, 20, 30% extra, and then 10, 20, 30% less during the slow months. Now, just to wrap up this point, it's important though that you realize is not all about marketing, right? Because you can have amazing marketing and get 100 tours over a couple months, but then there is a big difference here. You can enroll 30 families out of the 100 or 60 families out of the 100. The concept is how good is your staff, which usually are educators, into selling it. So you have to make sure they go through some sort of sales training and sales process.
Yep.
So we agree with you 100% on that. And that you actually are paying attention, because if you've got new staff who are now doing the tours and your conversion rates went from 70 or 80% on a tour to 30% on a tour, you need somebody else doing the tours.
Absolutely. And that's huge. And if you think about it, it's so funny that you can have zero additional marketing spend. But if you double your conversion rate on a tour, you just doubled your enrollment with zero additional dollars. Zero.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Pietro, thank you so much for giving those tips. We know that our audience will absolutely have questions for you. And if you've got a blog or anything that you think might talk about this that's good for them to know, we will make sure that link is in the show notes. And Carrie, do you have anything you want to say to folks?
Well, I think you should, say grazie. And for those of you who are listening today, make sure you share this with the people in your organization who control that budget. If it's not you, if it is you, share it with yourself, and make sure that you are spending the money in the right places. Don't buy the billboards. Instead, use meta ads if you want to work with someone to help you with that. Cause you're like, I don't social media, then find a good company that understands a little bit about the industry and a lot about the data of how to read. Is this a good ad? Is it performing well or not? Because I think the reading of the data is the biggest part of making sure that you're spending your marketing money wisely. And come back and see us in a few days. Make sure you're subscribed or following. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for tuning in. We love bringing you real talk and fresh insight from the world of early childhood education. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all of the latest episodes. And if you're planning a conference, training, or special event, Kate and Carrie would love to speak to your audience. You can learn more about their keynote sessions and workshops at kateandcarrie.com. If you learned something today, share the show, and leave us a review below. We'll see you next time on Childcare Conversations.